Mr. Giant here. Before we do the profile for Powerline on the Grand Gallop deck. Grand Gallop, in and of himself, I would say is not a particularly good card. He gains an on-stride skill that gives him 4,000 power, and on hit, counterblast 1 and draw. Grand Gallop, in and of himself, isn't a very potent card. However, unlike other Dimension Police decks, Grand Gallop is a very rearguard centric deck. And I don't just mean having all the rear guards on the board for Laurel to rest and then make restand. So you have your Grand Gallops. The new Grand Gallop is okay, I guess. He's better as a rear than as a Vanguard. He gains 4,000 power by counterblasting when you stride over him, and then if you stride into a burst unit, he gains another 4K. But then as a rear, at Generation Break 3, every time your Vanguard attacks, he gains 4K when they're 30K or greater. And then, if they swing at 60K or greater, he gains a crit. So, he can dish out a lot of damage very quick and be a very threatening rear. Grade 2 support. Your most prominent rear guard is probably going to be Grand Vol. Counterblast once when your Vanguard is 15K or greater, he will give 4K to himself and to another unit. And then if you add 30,000 power, he gains his on-hit skill to countercharge skill. So he becomes a very obnoxious card, especially because he has the resist ability. So you can't just denial Griffin him away. Grand Rifter, he's a floater, so to speak. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, on call at Generation Break, gives him 4K, and then if the Vanguard swings at 40K or greater, rather the first time it swings at 40K or greater, since it's a once per turn skill, you draw a card. So he becomes able to attack the Vanguard on his own, and then gains you a draw. And the last grade 2, Enigma Helm. Enigma Helm, Generation Break 2 on call, gains 4K, and the skill that if your opponent places a card on the guard circle, you can soul charge a unit with the burst ability. So far we have 1, 2, and 3. To force them to retire a grade 3 or less card on the guard circle. That can force them to overguard or to put them into very unoptimal guarding situations. Like, they may end up having to drop 2 extra cards because after you drop a 10K, they only have 5Ks in hand to deal with an attack. Or you can cause them into a situation where they're forced to lose an important rear to them. Grade 1, no, those are triggers. Grade 1s, 2 stride gate burst, 3 Laurels. Everybody knows what Laurel does at this point. He's a fun card. My perfect card of choice, Enigma Calm. Burst ability allows him in the drop zone to be reclaimed at the cost of Counterblast Soul Blast for 40K. And then, if you're at 45K, the Counterblast is refunded. You're able to get to 45K very easily with the Grand Gallop deck on your Vanguard. So, this is going to let you have a very large supply of perfect guards to give you a lot of longevity. Our last grade 1, Enigma Block. His ability, when your unit attacks, soul charge him to countercharge. So that gives you more resource manageability. And then Generation Break, you can soul black him as an act to give 4K to your Vanguard, and then if they're at 35K, they gain an additional 4,000 power. Then we have triggers. I run an 8 stand build because the rear guards are generating a lot of power. We have our original stand, our original G stand, operated by Reika, back into the deck, 4K to the Vanguard, and when they're at 37, every time they swing, you draw. Every time you swing. Grand Beat, very straightforward crit, into the soul, 5K for the battle. And then our new stand, Operator Girl Linka. She's a fun one. If you put her into the soul and your Vanguard's at 20k power, you draw a card. And then if at that point in time your Vanguard is at 35k power, drive checking at grade 3 allows you to retire and nullify a Sentinel on the guard circle. So we have a little bit of the Die Kaiser syndrome here. I mean, it's not a bad ability to have at all. Especially because you already have your Vanguard becoming threatening through Laurel and is a very big number. So we have a lot of guard restrict or guard breaking, things that make it more difficult for your opponent to guard. Then you have big numbers, and you just cause a lot of damage and chaos here. We also have our starter, Grand Hop. Rest him, giving it 4k. If your Vanguard's at 38k power, into the soul, draw and counter draw. More resource management, more soul. So let's take a look at our team. I'd say probably the most prominent Stratus deck, Super Cosmic Hero Crossleaf. He has two abilities. The first is on hit at 35k or greater, draw, and secondly, at 40k or greater, you stand a rear guard. So that gives you a little bit of leeway to play around with the Laurel. So even if you don't hit a stand trigger, if you swamp with a column and have a full board, you're going to get the Laurel stand if you hit. What makes this particularly fun is the amount of power it throws around through its act ability. By performing a G-flip, you choose any number of rear guards and rest them. Ideally, you'll be resting these ones because they're going to go into the soul or into the deck regardless. At that point, you choose rear guards equal to the number of rear guards rested. They gain 4k, and then for each unit that was given power, your Vanguard gains 4k power. So if you rest 2 units, your Vanguard gains 8. If you rest 3, 12. It makes your Vanguard a very big number. 3 rear guards rested already makes this 42 on its own, which makes the base conditional for Enigma column. And at that point, you're already going to have your Enigma Helms live once you call them. What makes Crossleaf particularly threatening is the last grade 3 that I didn't reveal yet, Miracle Beauty. So, Miracle Beauty, old card, very old card. And when I first built Dimension Police, I decided that I was going to have her as my backup grade 3. Her skill is, when she stands, so does a rear guard. So, when she stands, so does your booster. This is going somewhere, I promise. Stand her, then stand a rear guard. Stand her, then stand a rear guard. Then stand the Vanguard. The deck has the potential to cause a lot of chaos and put your opponent into a very bad position from the first drive on. It's a G-break deck, so it's still very, very likely to get its poop pushed in before then. But once you're online, your combo pieces are all going to go off, and you will have a very explosive first drive. Even if you don't hit, you're still probably going to be drawing a lot because you're filtering a good bit through your triggers. You're creating a lot. You're filling your soul. You're probably going to be popping off 1 or 2 of these. It's a very good ride, by the way, because then Soul Blast, it's a drop, smash it perfect, bounce to hand. Fun time. Remaining strike. Cross Gallop. At 35k power when he swings, including your booster, he gains an extra drive check for Counterblast 1 and G-Flip. And then for an additional 5k power on him, all rear guards in the front row gain 5k for each copy of him face up. If you hit, you can do it again. You get another counterblast. to get another drive check and another supplement of power. G-guards, we have 5. Cross Caribou, big number for 30k shield or greater, or for 30k attacks or greater, he turns into a 25k shield. And then you can pitch a card to increase your Vanguard's power by 4k. So you can disrupt poke attacks a good amount. Indignant Patriot, generic 5k bonus shield. GO5, Soul Blast 1 to gain 10k additional shield, and then if you've already taken damage during that turn, you gain an additional 5k. So GO5, you get a lot of shield out of these 2 cards. And then lastly, Atlantis Dolphin, your G-Flip G-Guard. He synergizes with your heal. You get the Soul Blast to counter charge, and then on activating his ability, which is just a flip, you gain 5k for each rear, and if you have 3 or more rears, by which it means if you get to 30k or greater power, you countercharge Soul Charge. So you get a lot of resource reclaimed out of this. Remaining G units, Seabreeze, it's there, we don't care, we know it's there. Laurel D, very situational card. I've used it 1 time ever. I can't make the joke because this is a kids-friendly channel, or so I've been told. Act ability. Vanguard at 20k, rest 4 units, and then he gains an on-hit ability to stand. Then, if his attack whiffs, when he's at 25k or greater while the skill is activated, you get to restand up to 4 rear cards. So, if you're at 25k power, you get to restand your rear guards. If you're at 20k power, you get the skill. I have 1 Cross Tiger for the situations where I'm trying to close out the game and I know they don't have purpose, because he just turned into a very, very, very big number that's usually difficult to guard at that late point in the game. He doesn't have the burst ability, which doesn't synergize with Calm because it does require the burst ability. It doesn't synergize with late guy. Very sad time, but it's for the best. Nobody wants to be dealing with Cross Tiger with crit and guard with crit twice. And the last ride are GBA, Ultimate Dive King. Also not a burst ability, but again, a very, very big number that the opponent has to deal with. And he gives power to the rear. Yeah.